Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew joins me now. Premier, it's good to see you again. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
The federal government is pausing phase 2 of its response in the tariff retaliation because of this move by the president. But some premiers, they're going ahead no matter what because they say they're kind of tired of the chaos. What are you going to do in Manitoba?
Well, yeah, tired of the chaos, just like everyone else in Canada and probably across the U.S. as well. So, yeah, we're going to maintain these responses that we've had to the Trump tariffs. So the liquor from the U.S., it's going to stay off the Liquor Mart shelves here in Manitoba. And we've also rolled out some supports for business, so specifically a tax deferral on those provincially collected business taxes. We just want to keep cash in businesses so that they can keep people working, keep those jobs in our community. And even though Donald Trump may have hit the pause button from his perspective, this April 2nd deadline, that's not good for us. That's not good enough. We need to see these tariffs completely removed. We can't just have a 30-day pause and then do this all again. So while we're waiting for more clarity and hopefully, the president finding an off-ramp for this situation that meets his needs, we're going to keep those supports in place for business as well.
Mélanie Joly, when speaking yesterday, the Foreign Affairs Minister, she called this a psychodrama. She said we can't go through this psychodrama every 30 days. How would you describe the fits and starts that we're with the United States right now?
Well, I think a lot of people are feeling whiplash. It's almost like, that ancient video game Pong, where we're just going back and forth from left to right. But for a maybe more contemporary audience, I think everybody is familiar with how Donald Trump operates. We saw it through his first term in office. We're seeing it through the first weeks of his second time in the administration here. And the big thing for us is when we as a country are going up against a larger opponent, we just need to use our leverage. And I think one of the really important ways that we have leverage is by sticking together as Canadians. So all the provinces moving forward to ensure that liquor stays off the shelves. That's really, really important. And then, of course, when we look at the other non-tariff measures that we have, if we can move in a unified fashion, if we can push back together from coast to coast, that's really helpful.
You know, the disruption of this, we spoke with Susan Holt, the Premier of New Brunswick, the other day, and she talked about just how trade exposed New Brunswick is, like 92% of its goods and exports go to the United States. I mean, what's the vulnerability and the effect of all of this in Manitoba?
Well, Manitoba, like pretty much every province, is a trading province, and the U.S. is our most important trading partner. But it's also cultural. And I'm sure Canadians across the country agree with this too. Like here in Manitoba, people love to do cross-border shopping for a weekend, right? And so whether we're going to North Dakota, some of those closer destinations for a weekend of shopping, or maybe we're going to the Twin Cities in Minnesota, Minneapolis and St. Paul to check out a concert or an NFL game. This is just part of who we are and who we have been growing up in Manitoba. And so really, this is causing not just a big disruption when it comes to trade, but it's really fundamentally upending a lot of the things that Manitobans have taken for granted. And I think like a lot of Canadians, we're seeing a lot of people here who are upset and angry. Outside at our legislature, we draped a huge Canadian flag. Thank you to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, by the way, for lending that to us. And people have been stopping all week to take photos and selfies in front of it. Just that feeling of Canadian pride and wanting to stick together and find ways to shop local, buy Canadian, and just rally around the flag, quite literally, is a good sign through all this turmoil.
So Doug Ford has said he's going to go ahead with the 25% surcharge on the electricity that Ontario sends to 1.5 million customers in the United States. I know Manitoba Hydro exports electricity to the U.S. What are you going to do there?
Yeah, we're looking at our export contracts. We are reviewing those things, signed an order to say that Hydro needs to check both the export contracts and those things that are up for renewal. Of course, we got two buckets just to get into the weeds here for a quick second. We got firm contracts that are in place, but then we also sell on the spot market, right? And so that's without a long-term contract, just like if we have extra power available. So we're taking a look. Of course, I've been talking to Premier Ford and, checking in with him with the approach there. For us, this idea of leverage, when we're confronted with a bigger opponent, we have to use those areas where we have leverage. That 10% on energy and critical minerals, that shows you that that's a sensitivity for the U.S. And so, again, we don't like this April 2nd deadline still hanging over our heads as a potential date for more tariffs. So yeah, we are looking at hydroelectricity exports. Yesterday, I spoke to Governor Tim Walz. I'm sure most of your viewers remember him
Yep.
from the campaign last year. Again, and we had a conversation about energy. And the message to him is, Governor, like, we love the cross-border shopping. We love your state so much. We're both hockey jurisdictions in the same division, by the way, racing for the playoff. But again, we've got to stick up for ourselves. We've got to look for our economy. And, I think, Governor Walz was very understanding and gracious and certainly opposes the tariffs. So I thank him for that. But yeah, our province is definitely taking a close look at hydroelectricity exports so long as President Trump has these tariffs threatened. Again, if he removes the tariffs entirely, then hey, we can go back to exporting baseload power. And then in this age of AI, baseload power is very, very valuable.
So when you talk about looking at your hydroelectricity, the firm power, these are your long-term contracts, multi-year sort of, are you looking at getting out of those or changing those, or is it just maybe not sell on the spot market to the U.S. and try to find Canadian customers?
Well, for now, we're just taking a look. We're reviewing.
Right.
So there's no specific announcement that I'm making on that front. And from my perspective, I want to be in the business of exporting electricity to the United States. I would love to have other provinces too, by the way. I would love to have really strong long-term contracts that benefit us by driving economic activity, that benefit our neighbors by helping them to either access more low carbon baseload power or help them to expand the data centers and AI
Right.
industries they're pursuing. All those things would be a win-win for us, and we would love to pursue. But so long as the president is dangling this threat of tariffs over our country, we are going to keep the tools in our toolbox that we know are effective in providing leverage for us. And so we are going to take a close look, and we're going to, be very judicious and smart. We're talking about big numbers here. We're talking about hundreds of megawatts, thousands of megawatts. We're talking about billions of dollars. So we're not going to move rashly. But again, given the nature of the threat from the president, we do have a responsibility to Manitobans and to the Canadian economy to ensure that we're sticking up for ourselves, while, of course, our first and foremost responsibility is to protect jobs here at home.
Final question, Premier, because I got to let you go. We're 6 weeks into this presidency. Do you think Canada has the stamina for another 46 and a half months of this?
Yeah, I think long after Donald Trump leaves office, we'll still be Canadians, we'll still be Manitobans, we'll still be the true North, strong and free. So again, not to say it's going to be easy, not to say we're not going to be in for more of that game of Pong or the ups and downs, but the reality is this: we are going to get through this period. And one of the defining things about us, maybe that's the fact that Mike Myers has become a national icon again over the past week, is that we have a sense of humor. So let's keep that good nature, that sense of humor. Again, it's a very, very serious threat. We're not joking when it comes to jobs. We're not joking when it comes to electricity. That's very, very serious. But along the way, if we're getting chirped, let's chirp back. And let's have a smile on our face for our fellow Canadians at the same time.
Well, Premier Wab Kinew, we appreciate you chirping here on the show. And by the way, I'm old enough to get the Pong reference. I'm going to have to explain it to my kids when I get home, though. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks so much.